Welcome to Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio, News Talk 1180 for the best in Saturday Talk Radio at 1 o'clock and on 1230 KGEO at 10 o'clock on Saturday. And for the best in Wednesday Talk Radio on 1410 KERI, Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And now, Clay, we are syndicated. We are now on 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
We're tearing it up, aren't we, Marty?
Yeah.
Wow. You're impressed with yourself.
How about that, huh?
Wow.
Doesn't take much to impress me. Your host is Clay Koerner, and I'm Marty Pay. And behind the big board is the producer's producer, Greg Held. Hey, Clay, that was a great show last week with Michael Reagan, President Reagan's
Was I
son.
here for that one?
You were awake through about half of it. You did pretty good. Actually, you snuck out in the last part of it because you had to leave.
Michael's always fun.
Yeah, Michael's a good guy. And I think it's just a question of time before he runs for Senate. I think I see him being a senator in California one day.
I don't think he'd get elected in California.
Really?
No.
You know, if it were 25 years ago, we'd probably be sitting here saying the same thing about his dad, but, you know.
If it was in Kern County, he would stand a chance, but not in the state of California.
Well, I think this state's going to change, so we'll talk about that another time. I also enjoyed Jane Levy in the second half. She was a great guest, the author of New York Times sports writer, author of the book on Mickey Mantle and Sandy Koufax.
Yeah, we have some difference of opinions, but yeah.
Yes, we do. Well, she's definitely a little more liberal than you and I are.
Oh, I was thinking just the opposite.
That she's a lot more conservative.
Conservative than I am liberal.
No. Next week, we've got the Majority Whip of the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, in studio. But today, for the entire show, we have a real treat. A guest we've had the pleasure of having on before, our own district attorney, Lisa Green. Lisa, welcome to Taking Care of Business.
Thank you, Marty. I'm happy to be here.
It's Clay. Marty and Clay, yeah. You forgot for a second.
I was waiting for you to say welcome me.
Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Clay. Happy to be here.
Clay,
I can't resist it. What can I say?
He's just honoring.
I'm so forgetful.
He just can't help himself. You know, buy him books, he eats the pages. It's horrible. You know? So, Lisa, there's a lot of things that we wanted to talk to you about, and I appreciate you coming on for the hour. That was really nice of you. I wanted to start out talking about AB 109. What a disaster that's got to be for you. Explain the bill and how it's going to affect the counties.
Well, it's already affected the counties with an increased crime rate, and we've seen that in my office with an increase in requests for filings of cases from throughout the county from law enforcement. And not only is it an additional increase in cases requesting to be filed, but in actuality, we filed 1,000 more cases than in 2011 essentially without any additional personnel other than one deputy DA who reviews the cases on the filing desk. But as far as prosecutors in the courtroom, no additional prosecutors in the courtroom to handle that amount of cases.
Now, Lisa, you confused me there. You said there's an increased crime rate in your office?
No, increased crime rate countywide.
And
okay. We're seeing that
you saw in your office.
And we see that translates to cases
now,
in my office.
Why would that cause more crime?
Well, what's happened is realignment essentially is that the state has realigned the criminal justice system from the state prison to the counties. They're asking the counties to handle their own parolees and their own felonies in most cases. It happens so quickly without really any time to prepare in terms of hiring additional probation officers to supervise the felons, in terms of hiring additional sheriff's deputies to patrol, it really across the board. And so it came about so quickly that nobody was really able to prepare. And therefore, we've had I think the numbers are over 1,800 felons released to parole in Kern County without proper supervision, and many of them are reoffending, whatever you want to call it.
So Lisa, are they being released because we have no place to put them, basically?
Well, no. The original intent of realignment was to release these felons to the counties. In the past, they were supervised by parole agents. State parole agents. Now the supervision, in most cases, is by the Kern County Probation Department, who didn't have the personnel in place to manage, 1,800 or 2,000 parolees. In addition, the second component of realignment is that there's a whole category of offenders who, in the past, would basically have earned a sentence in state prison. They would go to prison and do their time. Well, now they are ineligible for state prison under realignment. There's a whole class of crimes. Almost every property crime, which is a theft type offense, almost every single one, with the exception of residential burglary, no longer is eligible to go to state prison. So they're going to be sentenced to county jail, which was full before realignment.
Right.
It's still full after realignment, and they do maybe 20-25% of their sentence on these non-violent felonies, and then the sheriff, has no other option but to release them. So that's what we're seeing, and that's why at least one of the reasons that I believe there's an increased crime rate here in Kern County.
Do you ever feel like you're wasting your time?
I don't think protecting public safety is ever a waste of time, and that's
prosecuting.
No. Sometimes we feel as we may be spinning our wheels. That's probably a better choice of words than wasting our time. But we do what we need to do, and we're trying to get the programs in place in Kern County for these offenders to try to turn their life around. I mean, that's what also realignment is about. It's not about punishment. So the governor says it's about rehabilitation. The
R word.
Yes, the focus is now shifting from punishment to rehabilitation. And once again, there wasn't a lot of time to get those necessary programs in place. So the idea would be down the road, 4, 5, 6 years, that these people who are criminals and repeat offenders would be able to get job skills and housing and the skills they need to be productive members of society. That's the idea behind realignment.
Our in-studio guest, Kern County District Attorney Lisa Green.
But I think we took away the 3 strikes law, didn't we, recently?
Well, no, not exactly. It was modified, but it's still on the books. But it did modify. It did a couple of things. So if your third strike is a nonviolent offense, let's say a property crime, such as a commercial burglary, if that was your third strike, you would be eligible for a 25 to life sentence. That's no longer the case. The third strike has to be a serious or violent felony in order for you to be eligible for the 25 to life sentence. And when I say eligible, you would have to be found guilty or either plead guilty or go to court and be convicted by a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. So it was modified. It excludes a lot of people who prior to Proposition 36 were eligible under 3 strikes law. It also had a clause that modifies the sentences of a number of offenders. Kern County had about, I believe the number was 800 3-strikers serving the 25 to life sentence, and approximately 180 to 250 are eligible for resentencing under the new law, and we are actually holding those hearings are being conducted almost daily in Superior Court.
So here we have another cost that you have because of Prop 36, where you've got to go through 180 to 250 cases where you look at them again and determine whether or not these people are eligible for parole?
No, it's clear that they're eligible because their third strike was a nonviolent offense. But you're right. We've had to take a full-time deputy DA, assign her to review the cases and file pleadings with the court as to whether we think that the person is a danger to public safety. And so we've litigated 7 already, and basically the court has released 6. The 7th person was found not to be eligible under what his third strike didn't qualify. So we're litigating these, and it's a case-by-case determination, but all 6 have been released.
So when they get their 4th strike, what happens?
Well, it depends really if it's a violent or dangerous felony. That's if it's just a felony, just a 4th felony. It just depends what the priors are. But definitely, the law has been modified, watered down. Call it whatever you want to call it.
When we come back from the break, let's talk a little bit more about Prop 36 and some of the other lovely propositions that passed in this last election.
Okay.
We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk 1180.